and welcome our beloved viewers to RTD's News English edition. For this edition, we bring to you the top and major highlights of tonight. The UGTT celebrates International Labor Day, May 1st. Innovation and digital key to achieving gender equality in Africa in our international scene. Those were the major and top highlights. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. The Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity, Mrs. Ulufa Ismail Abdo, participated in the meeting of the extraordinary session of the Council of Arab Ministers of Social Affairs on the humanitarian situation in Sudan, which was held by video conference today, Monday, 1st of May. This session was chaired by the Ministry of Social Affairs of Qatar, President of the 42nd session of the Assembly of Arab Ministers in Social Affairs. During the meeting, the main focus on the discussions was on the situation prevailing in Sudan and the measures to implement all efforts aimed at ending the crisis. At the end of the discussion, a draft resolution was adopted by the Arab Ministers of Social Affairs to provide humanitarian assistance and support in view of the situation in Sudan. The main points of this resolution were to support financially and alleviate the suffering of the war-affected populations through the Arab Fund for Social Affairs, urging both parties to establish a humanitarian assistance corridor to request an Executive Bureau of the Assembly of Arab Ministers of Social Affairs of the Arab League to put the issue of the situation in Sudan as a priority item on the agenda of the 43rd Ordinary Session. In her speech, the Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity of Djibouti, Mrs. Ulufa Ismail Abdo, took this opportunity to report on all the logistical assistance that the Republic of Djibouti has put in place for humanitarian evacuations of foreign residents in Sudan. The choice of the Republic of Djibouti by the international community as logistical base is explained by its geostrategic situation and its stability in the region disrupted by internal conflicts. The Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity also assured that the Republic of Djibouti, and first of all its President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, will continue this assistance and support to the brotherly country of Sudan. The Minister of Interior, Mr. Said Nuh, made a declaration today, and I quote, "I take this opportunity on this 1st of May to wish a happy holiday to the people of Djibouti. I also take this opportunity to inform you that the government yesterday took a decision that has to do with foreigners in irregular situations who came from neighboring countries. This firm decision has for a main mission to protect our borders. It is the function of the government to ensure the security, the welfare of our population. It also implies an imperative that of putting itself to international standards by regulating illegal migration. Thus, in my statement yesterday, I stipulated that undocumented migrants who do not work should be allowed to return home. The others who reside in our country who have a job must have a document from their legal guardian or sponsor, that is to say the person for whom they work, so that they can work in peace in our country. I would like the population to accompany us in the implementation of this new system. There is a tiny portion of our population that has blinders on from the importance that our culture gives to peace and the respect that we give to foreigners. This tiny portion of our population believes that this measure that we're introducing today is synonymous with harming these people. I want to make it clear, here and now, that anyone who harms these foreigners will be brought to justice. And finally, I would like to tell the population not to listen to the baseless rumors circulating on social networks, which is instituted that the reason behind these measures instituted by the state is for medical purposes. The Minister of Justice and Prison Affairs in charge of Human Rights, Mr. Ali Hassan Bahdon, presided this morning a signing ceremony of the partnership agreement on the construction of the new headquarters of the Supreme Court of Djibouti, located at the former railway station of the capital. The agreement was initiated by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Justice, Mr. Makki Abdelkader Umar, and the Head of Business Development of the large Saudi company in the construction sector, PACE, Mr. Abdullahi. This construction project will be financed by the Saudi Development Fund and will be executed within 2 years. The signing ceremony of the agreement was attended by the Ambassador of Saudi Arabia in Djibouti, His Excellency Abdulaziz bin Abdullah Al Madar, the Attorney General of the Republic, Mr. Jama' Suleiman, as well as the advisor, namely Mr. Ali Musa Uke and Idris Ali Hamad. At the end of the signing ceremony of the agreement, the advisor of the Minister of Justice, Mr. Ali Musa Uke, reacted on the microphone of the RTD and stressed first of all that this agreement is the fruit of excellent relationship between Djibouti and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The advisor also indicated that the construction work of this new building will start in 2 months and will be executed in the next 2 years. Following the example of the rest of the world, the Labor Day was celebrated this Tuesday in the Republic of Djibouti. This year, the theme of the International Labor Day was Health and Safety at Work. A colorful ceremony was organized for this purpose by the General Union of Djiboutian Workers, which is also known in short as UGTD. Many workers from both the public and private sectors were present at this event, which saw the presence of the main leaders of the state organization. In a speech made on the eve of the celebration of Labor Day, the Minister of Labor in charge of Formalization and Social Protection, Mr. Umar Abdi, listed the progress made in recent years. The General Secretary of the General Union of Djibouti Workers, Mr. Said Yunus Waberi, made a tech report in front of the public where he presented the certain advances engaged for the improvement of the living conditions of the Djiboutian workers. The day of May 1st, which will always remain in the heart of all workers, was an opportunity to discuss and debate the health and safety at work, including universal health insurance. The General Secretary of the General Union of Djiboutian Workers, Mr. Said Yunus Waberi, organized a meeting of exchange and discussions with representatives of Djibouti medical evacuees in Turkey. Within the framework of the universal health insurance, the medical evacuations have been taken in charge entirely by the government of Djibouti. The Secretary General of the General Union of Djiboutian Workers, Mr. Said Yunus Waberi, encouraged the evacuees to continue their efforts of solidarity and mutual social assistance. If there is a fight that I would particularly like to take up, it is that of the defense of our common heritage, that is health and safety, he said. The beneficiaries of medical care in Turkey have, with a relieved heart and with a particular emotion, thanked the President of the Republic for having initiated the universal health insurance, which is one of the most ambitious reforms of the social policy. Shifting gears towards health now, where the Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmed Roble Abdillah, and the Minister of Budget, Mr. Isman Ibrahim Roble, presided over the launch of the roundtable on immunization and financing held on the 27th of April. This workshop was attended by the representative of UNICEF, Mrs. Beth Distel, the representative of the GAVI Alliance, the Secretary General of the Ministry of Economy, Mr. Abdul Razak Ahmed Idris, and the Deputy Representative of WHO. Also noteworthy was the presence of several national and international experts, senior officials of the Department of Health, and representatives of UN agencies. Indeed, thanks to the support of the GAVI Alliance, which with the leadership of the government of Djibouti, the roundtable discussions generated high-level engagement on specific topics related to immunization, financing, and transition. This purpose of this high-level engagement on immunization financing was to bring together all the key national stakeholders involved in immunization as well as international partners to discuss the challenges and opportunities for increasing domestic finance for the immunization programs. In this perspective of the transition to fully self-sustaining vaccine financing in 2030, the aim is to establish a platform for dialogue on the identification of national resource mobilization strategies and the means to implement them by the year 2030. Thus, various stakeholders shared their expertise and knowledge by presenting evidence on health and immunization financing, health sector performance, and Djibouti's political and socio-economic context. The Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmed Roble, received in his office for a working meeting the Director General of Programs of GAVI, Mr. Tibani Mafusa, who arrived in Djibouti on Friday, 28th of April. Accompanied by a strong delegation, this important working meeting was attended by the representative of UNICEF, Mrs. Betty Basil, the deputy representative of WHO, Mr. Farah Hassan Farah, the senior advisor of the Ministry of Health, Mr. Abdulqadir Mohammed Garad, as well as the executive of the Ministry of Health. Following the working meeting with the Minister of Health, Mr. Tabani Mufasa and his team went for the working visit to Farahad Polyclinic. The Director General was welcomed on arrival by the Chief Medical Officer and visited the different departments of the Polyclinic and more particularly the vaccination unit. The GAVI team was pleased with the good collaboration of the different health services involved in the vaccination of children. On the sidelines of his working mission in the Republic of Djibouti, the Director General of GAVI Programs, Mr. Tabani Mafusa, accompanied by a strong delegation, visited the region of Ali Sibeh. The Director General of GAVI Programs was accompanied by the UNICEF representative, Mrs. Beatty, the Deputy Representative of WHO, the Senior Advisor of the Ministry of Health, and the National Coordinator of the Immunization Program. On his arrival at the Ali Sibih Regional Hospital, Mr. Tibani Mafusa was welcomed by the Prefect of the region, Mr. Musa Adan Migane, the President of the Regional Council, Mr. Sharmanki Hassan Alale, the Director General of the Ali Sibih Regional Hospital, Dr. Ibrahim Milhan, as well as the entire medical and administrative staff of the regional hospital. After a brief discussion between the different officials, the regional director offered his guests a tour of all the services of the regional hospital of Ali Sibih. Mr. Tibani Mafusa, GAVI's Director General of Programs, was able to talk during his visit with all the managers of the different departments of the hospital, as well as the representatives of the civil society. The Minister of Trade and Tourism, Mr. Mohammed Warsamediri, visited the cruise ship Silver Cloud. The Minister, accompanied by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Trade and Tourism, Mr. Ali Dawood, the Director of the National Tourism Agency, were welcomed by the commander of the boat and crew members. It is a cruise ship of international class that makes cruising activities and past several countries, including our country, and transport more than 150 passengers and more than 227 crews. Docked at the port of Djibouti on Saturday, and it stays 3 days in Djibouti. The passengers of several nationalities who are on board visited this morning the city of Djibouti and were able to discover the different cultural diversities and crafts and gastronomy of Djibouti. And during their stay, they will visit the tourist places like Asal, Gulet, Island of Musha, and rifts of the region. It is following the effort of the National Tourism Agency in partnership with the Jordanian and local partners that this boat docked in Djibouti.
qaddani igu dayrane barwaaqaadu dibadata kalluunkiyo kaydka dihin baldaya deqdiyo nimcada أما صايحنا مع فقبلسنا قيامه هوياني سمع لكون نبنا قيامه هوياني عالم نوايسيسنا قرنتي مقللا كني نوم ديقلي نباو كوكبارا xadaaradale bulshada isku duubane dalkoodiyo nabadda jecel waxaanu ducaynayaa hoggaanshaha doobirta leh geesiga ku dadaale dalxiiska horow marshe dareemay qiimihiisa way dareemay qiimihiisa waxaan darajada ku helay dadkayga xadaaradale bulshada isu duubane dalkoodiyo nabadda jecel kah abam kadhadoocana badhagraay faatole agatah micee fadhaanam kayniyay matacba kunna daabise abtukursa dareeme daabise abtukursa waxaanu ducaynayaa hoggaanshaha doobirta leh geesiga ku dadaale dalxiiska horow marshe dareemay qiimihiisa way dareemay.
The President of Ports and Free Zones Authority, Mr. Obakar Umar Hadi, had the pleasure to receive yesterday afternoon at Djibouti International Tower located at PK23, the Director General of Djibouti Post, Mr. Bahnan Ali Midal, who handed over a series of framed stamps illustrating the many projects undertaken by the port and free zone authorities to these institutions. As part of the issue of the Djibouti Post for the benefit of strategic projects of the Ports and Free Zones Authority, the specially printed set of stamps aims to celebrate the ongoing development projects in Djibouti carried out by the Djibouti Ports and Free Zones Authority and Great Horn Investment Holding. The main objective is to promote our state-of-the-art infrastructure and to work jointly on interactions such as e-commerce. The Secretary General of MENFOP, Mr. Mohammed Abdullah Mahyoub, launched this Sunday, April 30, a training workshop in engineering of the competency-based approach for a score of educational advisors of technical education and vocational training. For this purpose, pedagogical advisors of the ETFP, the designers of manuals of Cripen, were selected to be accompanied in different stages of the engineering of the competency-based approach. This training workshop took place at the CFAF Umar Geli Ahmed in the presence of the Director General of the CFAF, Mrs. Aisha Farah, the Inspector General of the ETFP, Mr. Mahdi Umar Farah, the Inspector of the Territory Trades, Mr. Ahmed Ibrahim Buh, participated in the workshop. This training in APC engineering will be held in the CFAF from April 30 to May 11th and will be led by three experts, Mr. Kusidom Cornell, Head of Mission, Mr. Kweti Lansi, and Mr. Achulade Esuduna of the International Organization of the Francophone Institute of Education and Training. The objective of the training is to train designers and methodologists through the organization of an analysis of work situation and the development of a reference frame of trade competence. The players of the national handball women's team returned to the country today after their remarkable participation in the IHF Handball Trophy in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. At the airport, several officials of the Secretary of State in charge of sports, led by the Director General of the National Sports Agent, Mr. Mohammed Al Umar, their families and their fans welcomed them with all honors. Indeed, the team managed to rank 4th in this tournament, which is a great performance and a record for Djibouti Handball. The players were praised for their seriousness, their determination, and their team spirit throughout the competition. Upon their descent to the airport, they and their staff were visibly proud of their performance and expressed their gratitude to their supporters. They also stressed the importance of this experience for the development of handball in the country and thanked the authorities for their support. This 4th place is a real achievement for Djibouti, which seeks to make a name for itself in the world of international sports. The players promised to continue to work hardly to proudly represent their country on the world stage. The president of the federation, Mr. Ahmed Mohammed, also stressed the importance of this kind of tournaments for the development of handball in the country. He said that this result could be a trigger and allows players to exploit their individual talents. For the occasion, the general managers of AMPS, Mr. Mohammed Farah, organized a reception for these Amazons who represented our country with dignity, and it was a question of thanking them, congratulating them for the course and the exploit before encouraging them to be able to aim even higher. At the 2nd African Cadet and General Championship held in Lusaka, Zambia from April 29 to May 3, 2023, the young hopeful athlete Wabari Ege Hussein won the bronze medal in the 1,500 meters event. His teammate Mukhtar Idris Samare came in 4th place. These young hopefuls are all young people in training at the school sports study of Ali Sabeh. Remember that they have won the gold and silver medal in the last games of the CJSOA in Merchis. Note that the one junior 1,500 meters event, the young champion Ayali is registered and will start his race tomorrow. The Secretary of State in charge of sports, Mr. Hassan Mohammed Kamil, the President of the CNOSD and IOC members, Mrs. Aisha Ali Garad, the Director General of AMPS, Mr. Mohammed Umar, and the President of the Djibouti Athletics Federation, Mr. Saeed Ismail, all send their congratulations to these champions and wish good luck and courage to the others in the running. Let me take you to the international scene, to Africa, our blood viewers, where African governments are striving to eliminate gender disparities to enable women to benefit from the same rights as men and thus boost development to the participation of all. This is also the objective of this Victoria International Forum, whose 6th edition was held in Senegal from April 24th to 30. This year, participants discussed the status of women in achieving gender equality under the theme of innovation and technology in the digital era/age. Well, but these are blood viewers. We finally conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us and make sure to tune in later for more. Have a wonderful evening. Take care.